Hey everybody, Iceycat here. Today I'm going to come to you with the long-awaited question and answer video. Now I know a lot of you guys have been submitting your questions over the last few weeks and I haven't gotten around to it, but it's finally time to get the answers to the questions you've been asking next. Hey everybody, welcome to my studio. Now it's been a little bit since I've used this. I actually put up a few videos using this last summer when I returned from my Montreal trip and when I was hanging out with the dev team working on Rainbow Six. I put up a couple of videos using my set at that time, and I really haven't used it a whole lot since. It takes a lot of time and effort to set up the camera and the lights and the microphones and all that good stuff. And usually when I do my videos, it's gameplay. So welcome to the studio, and let's get started right away with our first question. First up is from Callum Lum, and he wants to know, what is my favorite operator, gun, map, and camo? Favorite operator's gotta be Fuse. His AK-12 is just such fun to use. I love using that. It's very accurate, has a really good amount of damage. It's just a lot of fun. And the cluster charge, I mean, you cannot go wrong with that thing. Even if you don't get any kills, the thing seems to take out half the room and the gadgets that are in it too. And it's so much fun. So Fuse is going to be my top favorite operator. Favorite gun, as much as I like the AK-12 though, the FAMAS is really good, and I also really enjoy using Ash's R4C. I love any of the M4 style weapons, and that's just, one of my favorites. I also like the way that the C8 Buck's M4 style weapon looks. I just wish that its recoil pattern was a little bit more controllable than it was, so it would be maybe more in line with the R4C, but I just really love any of those M4 style weapons. My favorite map is got to be the House. House is it has so many destructible environments in it. It has an easy to understand layout, and it's just a lot of fun. I also get a lot of mileage out of Consulate and Hereford Base. And what's my favorite camo? I really like the realistic weapon skin camos. So I like a lot of the World War II camos, and for the M590A1, there's a tier 5 skin called Woody. That's a neat one because it adds the wooden furniture onto like the buttstock and the foregrip, along with a little bit of metallic trim, and that just makes it look like kind of a neat older shotgun. How they were really made out of part wood. So I really like that skin a lot. Matt D wants to know, what's your feelings on the one-shot headshots in Rainbow Six? I hear both sides of the coin on this one. Some people will argue that the one-shot headshots are too hardcore. They're too unforgiving. It makes the game too difficult. Other people complain that it makes the game too easy because people can just hit you with a lucky headshot and it takes no skill, and then, you got killed by some noob that just happened to hit you in the wrong place. Where I stand on this is that I've been playing Rainbow Six games for almost 20 years now. I think the first one came out in 1998 or something like that. And it's always been a lethal series. Vegas was the first. Vegas 1 and 2 kind of brought in regenerating health, which wasn't something that was in the game before. But prior to that, all the other games were like, a couple of shots and you were dead. And I think even one-shot body shots, there were plenty of times where you could get one-shotted for sure. And you were not any kind of a bullet sponge in any previous game. You were getting killed left and right. It was very lethal. If you survived getting hit, you were lucky to survive. So I'm used to being dropped very quickly and easily in a Rainbow Six game, and so that doesn't bother me. Never really has. The High School Entrepreneur asks, what do you use to make your videos? Mic, capture devices, programs, etc., and what are your PC specs? Well, I edit everything on Adobe Premiere Pro. When I do video like I am right now, I record it using the Canon 6D. It's a DSLR, it's a step below the Canon 5D series, but it still has its full frame image sensor. It just has a few less features, but it makes it a more affordable price point. For a microphone, I use a standard, it's just a shotgun microphone that came with a Sony camcorder. I don't even know the model number of it exactly, but it came with a camcorder, and I just kind of use it as a handheld microphone. I keep that plugged into a Tascam DR60 field recorder. Right now I have it set up on a boom microphone here just out of frame, otherwise I would hold it up. I record my gameplay footage using an Elgato HD60, and I record that right into my laptop. The laptop that I use is a Lenovo IdeaPad Y700. It It has 4 gigs of RAM for video. It has 16 gigs of RAM for just memory purposes, and it has a Core i7 processor. It handles all of my editing needs very well, and I use that when I edit at work. I do edit at work on my lunch breaks. I'll go into the car on lunch and record some audio using my handheld mic, and then maybe throw together some quick edits from just, stuff I had recorded the night before or something like that, or, that I have in my archives of footage, and I'll be able to put together a video, and then I can respond to, something that's maybe, new information that's coming out or things like that very quickly. When I edit at home, my edit station here is a custom built PC, but it uses a Core i7 64-bit processor. It has 32 gigs of RAM, and it also uses a 4 gig video card. Yours truly wants to know, Icy, how long do you think Rainbow Six Siege is going to last? And do you think Ubisoft will come out with any more content if Siege is successful enough? Do you think Ubi will make the next Rainbow Six game like Siege if they ever make another Rainbow Six game? Well, that's a really interesting question because we had like a 7-year gap from when Vegas 2 came out to when Siege came out. So, I mean, what are they going to do? Are they going to wait another 7 years, or next year are they going to come out with a Siege 2? It's really hard to say what direction they're going to take things in for sure. I hope that it's not necessarily a Siege 2. As much fun as I have with Siege, I do miss the traditional Rainbow Six single-player campaign. If they make another Siege 2 and they put one in, hey, great. But they did make Siege as a player versus player focused game that also has some co-op for Terrorist Hunt. And the older Rainbow Six games had all 3 modes. They had player versus player, co-op, and single-player campaign, and that is notably missing from this title. So I would hope that the next Rainbow Six game they come out with kind of remembers that the single-player campaign is sort of an important aspect. If there was a way that they could put as great of a player versus player experience into a game with a full, robust campaign, that would be amazing. I don't know if they would do that, though, and we'll just have to wait and see. Do I think that Siege is going to last, though? We know that we're getting a full year of content for sure. I mean, all the way through the end of this year, we've got the 4 seasons. We've already had Season 1 with the Black Ice DLC. We know that Season 2 is going to be some American operators. Season 3 is going to be Brazilian. Season 4 is going to be Japanese operators. But will it extend beyond that? Will there be a year 2 of content? The devs have said that that is something that they want to do. But I think ultimately that question is answered by how well the game is supported by us as a community between now and then. I mean, their whole DLC model is based around having free maps and free operators. And so they generate income based on season pass sales and microtransactions for their DLC content. So, it's all the visual customization stuff, the skins and things like that, or the booster packs, maybe, things like that, that they can kind of earn money back on. If they make enough profit, then yeah, of course there will be a year 2 of content. But there's no way that we can answer that without knowing, where they're at in that process, if they're meeting their expectations of revenue generated. Minecraft PvP Friends wants to know, how'd you get so involved with Rainbow Six? And Nim Adam asks, can you talk about the time you spent with the developers, please? Well, I won't go into too much depth with what I did with the developers last year. If you want to know more about that, take a look at my in-depth playlist. You're going to have to kind of go back down toward the beginning because this was almost a year ago now, but I did a series of videos at that time when I came back talking about the various things I did, took some pictures of the studio and being with the devs and some things like that, talked about some of the things that, we kind of went into. A lot of it was covered under NDA, so I couldn't go into a lot of specifics, but so if you want to know more about that, you can check that out. At the time, we did the Road to Montreal tournament, which you can check that out. You can search for that on the official Ubisoft page. In fact, I'm going to put a link to that on the bottom of the screen here, and you can go check that out. That was a tournament that I played in that was broadcast on the internet. We were part of Team Tactical, and we swept that tournament, and it was a lot of fun. Very, very cool time. And one of the things that I can share, though, since those videos were made at that time, was that just before the beta for the game, they put up a changelog on the official Ubisoft blog, and they said, as a result of the Road to Montreal team coming out, which was myself and 9 other people, so 10 of us came out, and we were asked to basically play the game constantly for a week. We would start at 9 o'clock in the morning. We would go till 6 o'clock at night, just playing the game, having focused feedback sessions, telling them what we thought worked, what didn't work. And then even after that, we'd hang out with the dev team from after 6 o'clock until 11 o'clock, midnight, 1 a.m. every day. And we did that for a week solid in the development process. So much fun. And anyway, as a result of that, they put out a update on their blog post talking about the changes that resulted from that. And they go into some of it, but like, just to give you a real quick example, one of the changes we were directly responsible for is the shield mechanic. When we were playing the game at that time last summer, the shields, you could actually aim down the sights by putting it in front. The shield was up the whole time, and you could aim down the sights with the shield up. And you just couldn't drop shield guys unless you had a nitro cell. There was nothing you could do. And we felt that they were just too much of a walking tank. So we're directly responsible for the fact that they now have to cant their shield and aim over the top of it and expose themselves and make them vulnerable. If they want that accuracy, they have to exchange some vulnerability for it. And that was a direct result of the feedback we gave. And you can read about that on the blog post if you go and find that. And, that's, just one example of many of some of the things. Now, of course, our team also suggested a lot of things that didn't make it into the game too, but, we were at least able to shape the influence of the game, and it was very interesting. Boomy78 wants to know if there's any other games I enjoy. Are there other games you're playing now or looking forward to? I know Ghost Recon is one of them. Charlie DeWalrus says, do you plan on only uploading Rainbow Six Games content, or will you maybe branch off to something else at some point? So this is a really good question. I'm glad it was asked because it's something I've been wanting to talk about. Like Boomy78 said, Ghost Recon is definitely a game I'm excited about. I can't wait for Wildlands. I'm so excited. And as far as answering what other games I might cover on my channel, yes, Ghost Recon Wildlands, definitely going to be talking about that game. As soon as E3 comes out and we find out more about it, I'm going to be posting that information on this channel as well. It's not going to stay a Rainbow Six Siege only channel forever. I will continue to cover Siege. I will always continue to cover Siege. That coverage is not going away. Everything that's new and breaking on that will be covered here for sure. But I will also be adding in Ghost Recon coverage to that. If at any point Splinter Cell is ever announced, I will also be covering that because I am super excited about the Splinter Cell games. So far, there's been nothing that's been mentioned. I don't know if we'll get a surprise announcement at E3 this year or not, or might be another year or two or however many. But when it does, I will be covering that as well. Another game I'm playing right now that I'm really enjoying a lot of is XCOM 2. I was a huge fan of the XCOM games, both the older ones and the remake that came out last year from Firaxis. And I've been playing XCOM 2 that came out just a few months ago. It's been a lot of fun. For those of you that don't know what it is, it's a squad-based tactical shooter, turn-based, and kind of a top-down view, and it's military themed, sort of future soldiers repelling an alien invasion, and you set up your squad based on you customize how they look and the types of armor they have, what kind of guns they have, and you can really get very detailed in that game, and I really enjoy the tactical nature of that a lot. Familiar Comet 7 asks, Iceycat, can you do a versus subs match on Rainbow Six on Xbox One soon? And if so, can you let me know when, please? Plus, keep up the great work. You always help me through my tough days. That's awesome. Thanks a lot. So I think the best way to answer this is just that I have a blanket policy that says I really don't pick up playtime with subscribers or fans of the channel for one very simple reason. It's just that there's so many of you out there and I get so many requests that I can't manage it. And it's really hard because so many of you are just really great people and send me a lot of positive messages. And I would love to play with you, but I just get overwhelmed with the volume of messages that I get. I have, at the time of the recording of this video, going on like 44,000 subscribers to the YouTube channel. I'm the moderator for subreddit with about 38,000 subscribers to that. And then there's Facebook and Twitter, and I'm also plugged into some other things. And, when you wind up having, 70, 80,000 people that you're sort of plugged into, and there's an awareness of who you are amongst that group of people, there's just a lot of people that just want to send you, friend requests, or, want to play with you or add you to their clan or their group or whatever. And it gets a little crazy. Some nights I will hop on and I'll get message after message after message after message after friend request, and it just is like, it gets crazy. And so I actually have to hide my status to offline just so I kind of don't get too inundated with messages. And it's not anything personal. It's not a snub. By and large, like 95% of you guys are completely awesome. It's no snub at all. It's just sort of like being overwhelmed with all of the requests and messages that I just have to take a step back from it and say no. And that's really all it is. It's nothing personal at all. ANHD says, do you intend to make YouTube your full-time job? By the way, great video. I hope there's more coming. I would love to be able to make YouTube my full-time job, but it's just not going to happen. I have a full-time 40-hour-a-week job that I am in right now, and I have a wife and 3 kids, and I just don't have a lot of time to spare to this. This for me is my hobby. It's a labor of love. It's something I decided to do and just get more involved in a deeper level with the community I was already a part of. I was part of the subreddit community, and then I was asked to become a moderator. And right about that same time, I decided to try my hand at making YouTube videos because I had been inspired by watching other people make YouTube videos and wanted to be sort of more involved with the game in that way. So this to me is very much something that, like, less than a year ago, I was like, this seems interesting. Let's try it. And I had no idea what I was doing. So it's not something that I generate enough income off of to be able to switch to replace my full-time job. It's a hobby, a labor of love, something I do on the side. I've gotten a lot of enjoyment and fulfillment out of it. But, you know, maybe if I get up to like 1 million subscribers or something like PewDiePie, I could, but that's not going to happen. And I think it'll just be something that's just like a little something on the side that I do. Topher Owen asks, when do the new American operators come out? I know they come out in April, but when in April? Oh, and this is such a hard one to answer too, because Ubisoft is really elusive with this information. When Black Ice was first announced, they said it was coming out in January, and then it got pushed back to February, but they didn't really have a whole lot of information to go along with it as to why that was happening or what was going on. And I think they're trying to avoid the same problem this time by not saying a for sure, you know, a specific date. I think their original date was like mid-January. Well, first it was just January. Then they said mid-January, and then it got pushed back another couple of weeks to like February. So I think they're trying to avoid that this time, but it's frustrating because even with Black Ice, they gave us no information. Like, I was doing Black Ice coverage just based on public leaks, but not because anything Ubisoft had officially said. They officially said nothing. We didn't even get the Black Ice trailer until the same day the content launched, which is like, what? But I hope they do that differently this time. But yeah, I mean, we're already in the first week of April and we've heard nothing. Clyde582GZ asks, what's the most frustrating thing about a YouTube channel? Well, there's 2 things that are really frustrating sometimes. One of them is motivation. I mean, sometimes life just gets in the way. This is something I do on the side, and I have to kind of fit it around my job and my family and social engagements and things like that. So finding the time to always have enough ability to make one of these videos with the render time, the capturing the footage time, the editing time, the cutting the audio, exporting it and uploading it, you know, that all takes time. And sometimes finding that motivation can be a little tricky, especially after a night of playing until like 2 or 3 in the morning, and then I've got to be up for work at like 6:30. It can get kind of difficult to keep up with that motivation sometimes. The other thing is that sometimes you're just dealing with challenging personalities on the internet. This is a public place, and people have very diverse opinions and personalities. It can be tricky. I try to run a very positive community. I'm an open and friendly person, and I try to encourage that in my community as well. And by and large, most of you are. Even when you have comments or criticisms, you keep it constructive, and it's, you know, by and large, a good process. But there are a few people that can come out as being rude or mean or bullies, and that's disheartening to see. I don't ever want my community members to feel like if they post a comment that somebody's going to attack them for making a comment or having an opinion. You never want to see that. And when that does happen, you know, you kind of have to laugh it off. It's the internet. You got to have thick skin. And, you know, I'll just delete these abusive, you know, comments and just sort of be on my way with it and try to just encourage the positivity in the community more than anything else. Tom White wants to know, when did you start YouTube? I started YouTube almost about a year ago now. At that time, I had no idea what I was doing. I had never done this before. I didn't know how to get started or what to do, how to go about it. And if you take a look at the older videos I did versus what I do now, the presentation is different. The production values are different. You know, I've really kind of refined my process to get where I am now. And if you look at me a year from now, I'm sure you'll see the same kind of evolution. But this last year has been a really interesting ride. Even as, I'd say as recent as about 6 months ago, I was still trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. And most of that 6 months, I was trying to reach 100 subscribers for most of that 6 months. It wasn't until about a month and a half before the game came out that the channel really started to like pick up and take off. And it's been, you know, just a fascinating ride ever since. And I've had some really great opportunities to be involved with things and be a part of the community and interact and see a lot of growth. And it's been great. So yeah, kind of new to this whole YouTube thing. I'm just at about the 1 year mark for it. The final question comes from Burke the Troll. Iceycat25, do you think you can post gameplay commentary every once in a while instead of always posting vids like this? So what he's talking about when he says vids like this is I tend to do presentation-based videos where I give the viewer news and information or tips and tricks, updates, things like that, but I don't do a lot of gameplay stuff. And there's a very simple reason for that. I'm an older gamer. I'm 38 now, and I don't have the reflexes I did 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. My reaction speed is a lot slower. My reflexes are a lot duller. I still have a lot of fun playing the game, but I play casually. I also don't invest a lot of time into playing games. I would love to, but with the job and kids and the other commitments I have, I just, I only play 1 or 2 nights a week. And it can get a little tricky to devote enough time into it that the competitive players and the professional players do, that they can keep their skills sharp. They're also, 10 and 15 years younger than I am, so it's a lot easier. I don't pretend to have mad skills. I don't pretend to be the best player out there. I don't even pretend to be an exceptional player or an awesome player. I'm very average. I am the first person to admit that. I say it in my comments all the time when people bring it up. I am very average. I don't pretend to be otherwise. I do have the luxury of editing in that I don't have to show you all the times I got slaughtered. I'm not trying to sit here and say like, wow, look at me, I'm so good. I will never do that. But you don't want to watch my gameplay because it's very uninspiring. If you want to watch somebody die as much as they kill or die more than they get killed, then I guess you could watch my gameplay, but it would not be very fun to watch. And I do try to, when I put something together, pull out some stuff that's at least decent. If I, have a video coming out, I'll try to play the night before and get what I can. And sometimes when I do that, I don't do very well the night before and I don't have a lot to work with. So it just kind of depends. But I also feel like my strengths are in presentation. I'm somewhat tied into this world for a living for what I do. I work, sort of in the journalism field. So I'm around reporters and, some things like that on a regular basis. And so being plugged into that world, I feel like I have an understanding for how to present information and give it to people in such a way that I'm enriching their gameplay experience by keeping them aware of what the newest trend is in the game, what the latest tips and tricks might be in the game, how to use a certain operator, how to play for good spots in a certain map, or things to try that maybe they didn't know before. Hey, there's this new piece of information that just came out, sharing it with you guys to keep you all in the loop. I feel like that's where my skill set lays, is more in being able to communicate with people in that way, as opposed to be like, look at how amazing I am at my game, because I'm not. So there you go. That's the answer to that. Well, thanks a lot, everybody, for checking out this question and answer video. I know it's been a long time coming. Unfortunately, due to real life cropping up, I just hadn't been able to get to this as soon as I wanted to. Now, if you want to have another question and answer session, I can certainly do that. Just post your comments down below and we'll be able to get to those in some other future video for sure. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. And remember, you can check me out on Facebook at Iceycat or Twitter at Iceycat25. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.